Well, hello guys, I really hope we're all doing okay. Welcome back to the channel, where in today's episode can only be described as pottering. I don't know if you potter or even if it's in the dictionary. This is where gardeners like myself potter around and try and accomplish as many small tasks in the garden as possible. And one of the first tasks I like to start off with is doing the edges and cutting the grass. This is because I'm going to get some major brownie points no matter what else happens when the wife gets home. But before I do that, I have to do the delightful task of picking up the dog poo. Anyone who's got a dog will know how wonderful this task is, especially if your dog's like mine and likes to do its business in about 5 different locations. But she is extremely cute, so I'm going to forgive her. Let me know in the comments what breed of dog you think she is. For some reason, most people outside of the UK seem to get this one wrong, so let me know please guys. Now I'm going to carry on and clear the rest of the garden. As you can see, I have some courgette plants here, and if you take a look underneath, you'll see the grass has started to die a little bit, which should tell you how long ago I actually potted these up, but they're destined for the allotment. So I'm going to blitz the lawn now, and I will speak to you guys very soon. So, one of the major hallmarks of pottering is getting easily distracted by something that you spot in the garden. And here, we've got some strawberries that seem to be getting eaten by the birds. Now, I know I could net my strawberries to keep the birds off them, but I must admit it never bothers me that much because they don't take many, and I'm more than happy to share my bounty with the starlings. Although saying that, this year I think I'm going to try a method that I've heard about, where we get some nice big pebbles and we paint them up red to make them look a little bit like strawberries, and then I'm just going to place those around the top of the raised beds. This is something I'm going to get the kids to do. They'll love it, although it does sound a little bit mean. Now the lawn is done, I'm going to move on to the next task I really wanted to get done today, and that is replacing this hose pipe. It's really kinky. It's got kinks in it. Kinky? Well, it's a hose pipe that's got kinks in it, so I'm going to replace it and relegate this one to the allotment. But I have been very lucky, and Giraffe Tools have actually sent me a new hose pipe out. It is another wall-mounted one, but this one is far better quality and also self-retracting. So thank you to Giraffe Tools for sending that out. I'm going to include a few links in the description with a 5% discount if you guys are interested. I'm going to move on now and get this installed. I am really excited to test this out. I know that probably sounds a little bit sad, but it takes a gardener to be excited about a new hose pipe. Well, that was pretty straightforward. I'm going to go in and water the greenhouse now. I don't really need to water the greenhouse, but I'm going to do it anyway just so I can test this out. A lot of you guys are going to know what a hectic gardener I am, but being in the greenhouse now, I've realised that I've got a lot of plants that are actually desperate to get in the ground. So that's going to be one of my next tasks. I also need to get rid of all of this compost that are in these raised beds. This is all the spent mix from last year's cucumbers and tomatoes, but I'm going to get that bagged up and take that to the allotment as well and use it as mulch all over my vegetables. Now, one of the questions I get asked quite a lot is how often do I water the garden? So this is a bit difficult. So the greenhouse will get watered quite a lot, almost daily in summer. My vegetables also get water, but my borders and my lawn, I never water them unless I'm emptying the paddling pool water out when the kids have been playing. Now, this is not really a rule of thumb, but I've always found that the lawn will survive pretty much anything our summers can throw at it, even when it looks like it's dead. As soon as the rain comes, it greens up again. The same for the border plants. I prefer the roots to go deep and wide, and it just makes them a little bit more drought tolerant. And as for all my containers and hanging baskets, you can see once or twice a week, but a really good deep watering is far better than just sprinkling them with water every day, which will probably do more harm than good. So anyway, while I was in the greenhouse, I actually noticed some runner beans that looked very, very ready to go in the ground. So I'm going to pull out the old parsley that's already gone to seed, and also some of last year's kale that I allowed to flower this year. They've come out, and this is where I'm going to pop the runner beans. Now, the children do the majority of the vegetable growing in my garden. I take care of the allotment. When I plant these runner beans, I'm not actually going to put any fertilizer in at all. I'm just going to top up with fresh compost, and then I'm going to pop them in. And generally speaking, the only fertilizers I ever use is a liquid seaweed, which goes in most of the containers and hanging baskets, and also a bone meal mix, which goes in at planting time. And other than that, it's basically just compost, fresh organic compost. Well, I've almost finished these, but I do fully expect to be replacing these canes for larger ones, because this is actually quite a rampant broad bean, so they're going to get big and they're going to crawl really high. But this is all I'm going to be doing in the vegetable raised beds today, because if I do any more, the children are just going to be upset with me for working without them. And we certainly wouldn't want that, and besides, I really want them to get used to growing their own vegetables as much as possible. As I say, we're almost finished here. The one thing I really like about this garden, and about myself being a really messy gardener, is the scope for pottery is endless. There's so many things to do. So next, I'm going to sort these bird feeders out. Now, I know some people stop feeding the birds at certain times of the year, but I'm not one of those. I pretty much feed them all year round. Honestly, I don't believe there's enough of their natural habitat left for them to get the abundance that they would have usually got in spring and summer. So I'm going to keep on doing it until somebody proves otherwise. And at the moment, I'm filling these up more than once a week. In fact, 2 days after filming this, the yellow one was already empty. And besides all of that, I still have the idiotic belief that me feeding the birds with the nice nuts and seeds are going to make them leave my strawberries and vegetables alone. Anyway, we're now moving on to the next pottering task. So I don't know if anybody noticed, but we've got these two huge sinks laying on my patio. Now, in England, we call these Belfast sinks. They are very old and extremely heavy, but they are going to make an excellent water feature. And I think I've found the perfect spot to put it. I'm going to put it right next to my nature pile of rotting logs. This is a bit of a shady spot, but it does get a good amount of evening sunshine. So I'm going to find a little place to pop it here, dig it in slightly, and then get it positioned so it's nice and level, or levelish. So after I've got it positioned, I will probably wait until the next pottering video when I'll get some aquatic plants in. I will keep my fingers crossed that we get some frogs moving. However, due to this garden being really well enclosed, I don't think that's actually going to happen, but there will be plenty of other aquatic life that move in there. I'll keep my fingers crossed for the frogs, possibly newts, who knows. But now it's positioned, I'm going to try and collect a little bit of rainwater in the meantime, and then it's going to be a simple case of putting some stones on the inside and the outside just to make sure anything can crawl in and out whenever they want. And as luck would have it, I also managed to steal one of the plugs from the sink from our utility room. I'm really hoping that my wife doesn't find out about it, because I'm probably going to catch a few choice words when she does. But I'm willing to take one for Team Nature. Speaking of Team Nature, here's my little garden helper. Remember, if you know what sort of breed she is, please let me know in the comments. It's going to be really interesting to see if you guys know. Smile. Now I'm going to move back into the greenhouse for the final pottering task of the day. As I said earlier, these beds really need to get emptied, because I've got a lot of compost that I need to put in, which is fresh. And as many gardeners will tell you, I've got ideas above my station when it comes to the amount of usable space I've got compared with the amount of plants I've actually grown. So I have about 5 or 6 different types of cucumber, I have 5 or 6 different types of tomatoes, which actually mount up to about 15 different plants. I've also got squash, courgettes, broad beans, runner beans, mange too. I also have peas and a host of herbs from chives, garlic chives, rosemary, sage, oregano and coriander. And yes, my American friends, I am pronouncing that correctly, oregano and coriander. But for anyone who does pronounce it oregano and cilantro, I still love you anyway, so don't worry. But anyway, that brings us on to the end of the video. I'm almost finished here. I am going to be doing another pottering session. I know this is a little bit different from my usual content, but I'm hoping you still enjoyed it. Besides that, on the weekend we're going to have another lawn transformation, so that will be back to my usual content style. Anyway guys, thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.